So Tom Morello, thanks for joining me today. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. It's a long day of doing promo, but I'm talking about music that I love, so I'm happy to do it.
It's great to hear that you love your own music still after all these years.
Yeah, I mean, for the last, almost 3 decades, and over the course of about 21, 22 albums, there's been one common mantra, and that is to only make music that I really believe in. And so that's, I've certainly done that on this Atlas Underground Fire record, and I'm thrilled about it. You know what I'm saying? This record was made during it was made entirely during lockdown, and it was made mostly 95% by alone, recording my parts alone. During the first 4 months of lockdown, there were going to be no shows, and I have a studio at my house, but I don't know how to work it. I don't know how to run it. There's always an engineer that does that. So they only let me touch the volume. So that was a time of kind of anxiety, because I was like, I'm not going to be able to record music for a year, who knows how long. And inspiration came from a very unlikely place, Kanye West. I read an interview with Kanye where he was bragging about the fact that he had recorded several entire albums, the lead vocals on the voice memo of his phone. And I thought, well, if it's good enough for Kanye West vocals, can I record my guitar so I tried it. I just pressed the red button, stuck it on a chair, rocked some riffs, and then began sending these riffs to engineers and producers around the world. And all of a sudden, they started sending tracks back that sounded awesome. And all of a sudden, there was this realization that not only can I create during this time, but I can also sort of forge this kind of Atlas Underground global community of collaborators and conspirators that will provide, a way out. I mean, it's one guy in one room, and yet it became this community of collaborators, which was really great during a particularly...
So it's great to hear that you learned this while being in lockdown.
That's right. I mean, necessity is the mother of invention. Like, I just thought, I can't record music for another year. That's horrible. And instead, it became, during this time, I've already put out 2 EPs, and I've got this record, and there's sort of more in the can too. So it really became one of the most fruitful, recording periods of my life.
And that even in a time you didn't expect it, because in 2019 was announced Rage Against the Machine is back, going back on tour. This wasn't all planned.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, and that's the the irony was we were just a few days away from the first Rage Against the Machine tour in 10 years, and that was depressing to not be able to do that. But I did find a silver lining and be able to create a lot of new music that I'm excited about.
I heard the album. It's great. We heard the first song with Eddie Vedder and Bruce Springsteen. How did they come on that song? Did you scroll through your notebook or your telephone list?
We have a history. I'll tell you the history with that song. So for about 6 years on and off, I played with the E Street Band, right? And we were playing in Perth, Australia, the home of Bon Scott, the singer of AC/DC. And I was looking to pay my respects at his grave late one night, about 11 o'clock at night. I was in this graveyard. I couldn't find his grave, and out of the distance comes this motorbike, like this little light coming out of the distance. And it's this heavy-set guy with like a German army helmet and a T-shirt that reads, "I don't give a shit, but if I did, you're the one I'd give it to." And I'm like, that guy's going to know where Bon Scott's grave is.
For sure.
And of course he did. So I paid my respects, and fresh from the thrill of that, went back to the hotel bar, and Bruce was sitting at the bar. I said, "Bruce, do you think that there's any way that the circle of the E Street Band and the circle of AC/DC overlap?" And he was like, "Maybe." So over the course of the next few days, we started rehearsing Highway to Hell at Soundcheck. And we were playing in Melbourne, a huge soccer stadium, 80,000 people in soccer stadium in Melbourne. And Eddie Vedder happened to be in town for a solo tour. He was at the show. And so I knocked on Bruce's dressing room door. I said, "Bruce, I got an idea. Here we are in Australia, where AC/DC is king, where the song Highway to Hell is like the national anthem, the alternative national anthem is Highway to Hell. What if we open the show with Highway to Hell with Eddie Vedder?" And he was like, "That sounds like a good idea." So we did. And it was like you've never seen people go crazier. And it was this apex moment of rock and roll. And so when I was making this record, when I was finished this record, working with a lot of fantastic young artists like Bring Me the Horizon, Fantagram, Chris Stapleton, Grandson, Mike Posner, Damian Marley, Prototype, Femme, Sama Abdul Hadi. I thought I wanted like a historic moment. And I reflected back to that electricity on stage on that night. I put together the track Highway to Hell, sent it to Bruce and Eddie with my fingers crossed, and here we are. At the end of the day, Highway to Hell is one of the greatest rock and roll songs of all time, now sung by two of the greatest rock and roll singers of all time, in Bruce Springsteen and Eddie Vedder.
And thanks to you guys, it's back on #1 in the US as well.
Yeah, that's crazy, right? It's like the #1 song. Like I came out in 1979 or something, and now it's back on the top of the chart. So that's awesome.
Did you get some reaction from the AC/DC guys? Because Angus Young is living in the Netherlands.
I should maybe ask for Angus's phone number or something and send it to him to see what he thinks. But I mean, there's the thing is like, you're never like, no one's trying to be better than AC/DC is one of my favorite bands of all time. And it was a particular, that song is very authentic to me and Bruce and Eddie. Like that was something that was a real part of our lives, of our lives together. And it's a way to pay, in honor of AC/DC and sort of bringing that song into the future with these two great singers.
I love to hear that you recorded this album on your phone, because normally when you make music, it must be in a room with fucking loud guitars and a band.
Yeah,
that's so different now.
It was a way of like sort of turning this awful circumstance of being locked down and trying to just like, I must make music. How can I do it? And I found, first of all, I'm going to throw away all my expensive microphones because the guitars sound great on this record. I just record them right into my phone right there. And so it was really like liberating. It also changes the way you think about the way you write and record changes the way you think about what you write and record. So I would normally, you're in a band, you're in a room with other people and you're sort of all playing and bouncing ideas. With this, it would be, I would send, 5 riffs to bring me the horizon. Like I just sit down, I'm going to come up with 5 riffs right now, 2 different beats per minute, see what they respond to. And then it's there, then that's the collaborative process and how the chemistry works. You're not in the same room, you're not on the same continent, but it's like, okay, we like riff 2 and riff 5, and here's our contribution to it. And the songs were just this kind of rotating process like that. 2 of them in particular were absolutely bizarre. The Mike Posner song, Naraka, which is like the Hindu word for like hell, or the place where lost souls go. Between the beginning of the recording the song and the end of recording the song, Mike Posner summited Mount Everest.
Wow.
Real. Vocals were recorded on that song at about, 20,000 meters, and so that was like just an incredible, like that song, the vibe on that song is like, you can't get it any other way unless you climb Mount Everest. And then the song On the Shore of Eternity with Sama Abdul Hadi. She's a tremendous young Palestinian DJ. We were working on that song while Israel was bombing Palestine. And so she would sometimes have to like go to find shelter while we're doing the song, and it's really sort of reflective of that. The name of the song, On the Shore of Eternity, that's how Saladin, who was the great Arab leader in the time of the Crusades, he referred to Jerusalem as the city on the shore of eternity, and so that's where we got the name.
Wow. But will it work when you will make maybe new music with Rage Against the Machine as well in this way?
This is not how the only way that band ever made music was 4 guys in a room, and that's how we do it best. So I don't think that this is the same sort of process that might work.
How did it feel for you? You announced that the band is back, and then you had to cancel everything.
Yeah, well, not great.
Are you still coming back with the band?
Well, we rebooked the U.S. tour for 2022, and my fingers are crossed. The only thing that matters for any band, in my view, any artist that's playing shows, is that the audience is safe, the crew is safe, the band is safe. You know what I mean? Like I want music to be a thing of like joy and celebration of resistance, and not something that's going to get anybody killed. So I only want to do it when it's going to be such a time where it's safe for people.
And next year is the best year to come back with the band, because the album will be 30 years old next year.
That's crazy.
And it's still fucking relevant nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, it's very encouraging to hear those songs, in the streets when people are protesting, whether it's Black Lives Matter movement in the U.S. or in Chile or wherever people are, standing up to unjust authority. They play those songs, so that's pretty awesome.
And now with this album as well, you just told the story about Israel. It's also relevant now.
Sure. And this record, I like, as far as subject matter, there certainly are some rebel anthems on this record. Hold the Line, and with Grandson, and the Damian Marley song, the Achilles List. which I took the title from one of the Planet of the Apes movies. There's a the Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. It's a movie from the 70s.
Yeah.
But in it there, it's like sort of the one where the apes take over the world from the humans, and the apes are like this kind of slave class that does all of the menial labor. But the ones that misbehave, they put on a thing called the Achilles list, meaning these are the ones that might hit our Achilles heel, and they could bring down the unjust order. So I thought that was a great song for Damian Marley band. But anyway, so it's all of this experience and creating these kind of friendships around the world was really like a glass half full way of looking at it otherwise kind of grim time.
And the whole track list, it sounds like a festival. I want to see this once on a stage.
That's a good festival bill, right?
Yeah.
Right?
How much are you looking forward to rock again on stage, to take your guitar to the world?
This is certainly the longest that I've been without playing a live show since I was 17 years old. And there's nothing like that connection, and in the Netherlands, I just have to give a shout out and thank, like, some of my favorite shows that I've, from the Milkveeg to Pinkpop to solo show. I did a Night Watchman solo show. I think at Pinkpop was one of my favorite shows in the country, and the audiences there over the course of 3 decades have been so supportive of Rage, of Audioslave, of the Night Watchman, of Prophets of Rage, of the Atlas Underground Project. And I just want to sincerely express, it's not something that I take for granted, and I think that, in doing interviews like this, it gives you the opportunity to really say thank you, to people who have been a part of any of that journey, and that it's really sincerely appreciated.
I can't wait to have you here to make a new Earthquake, because that's what you did in the 90s, mate.
Let's get going. That's like what you're referring to, of course, is I think Pinkpop 94, where Killing in the Name, the crowd registered on the Richter scale as a 1.1 earthquake. I thought it felt like it was about 2.5, but we'll see.
Tom Morello, I can't wait to meet you in person finally here in the Netherlands, but thanks for joining me today. I'm going to play the whole album. I'm going to play a lot of Rage Against next time, but thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. Hopefully we'll see you soon.